Thank you again for watching. My name is James Black, and this is another CSE Issuer Update. And today, I'm pleased to be joined by Tyrell Sutherland, CEO of Viridian Metals, recent listing here on the CSE under the symbol VRDN. Tyrell, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Once again, pleased to have you. And there's a lot to dig into here with your story. But the very first thing I really want to hone in with your project is something that you talk about on your website and your marketing materials, which is the term generative metals. And this is the exploration opportunity that your premise behind your projects in Labrador. And I just want you, in your own words, to describe the opportunity in the world of generative metals and what that term means, but also what it means for you as an explorer for these metals.
Well, I mean, to us, really what it comes down to is that our strategy here is to find really large scale projects. So projects that would be of interest to the majors. Now, the exploration paradigm in Canada in the last 25 years has really been, go explore in the shadow of a head frame. We're really flipping that on its head and going the other way and saying, well, if we want to find something really big, you're not going to find it missed between two other drill holes that just happen to be off by a few meters. You have to be going and opening up new jurisdictions, new basins, new areas that haven't been looked at. And so, what originally brought us to Labrador is that, well, beyond the fact that jurisdictionally it's fantastic, a lot of Labrador is absolutely wide open in terms of this, projects that have never been looked at and geology that's mapped at 1 to 5 million scale. So at that level of knowledge about the local geology and level of data, a lot of things can fit in there and have been missed because just people haven't been out there to do the very basic exploration.
Right. And so just based on what I've seen on your site as well, there's other players in the region, quite larger players. You want to talk just quickly about some of the other entities that are in that region?
Yeah, so this is the other thing. It's that on a per capita basis, mining in Labrador is probably more intensive than anywhere else, just because of the long history of iron mining that has gone on in the Labrador Trough. So, in spite of being for base metals, not a lot has gone on here. The iron mining side, they've been going consistently since the 1960s. The one big base metal story that everyone is aware of would be Voisey's Bay. I mean, that was one of the most valuable discoveries in Canada in the last 35 years. But aside from that, a little bit of exploration surrounding that discovery, for base metals, it's wide open and hasn't been looked at. But at the same time, the regulatory and the communities are used to dealing with the Rio Tintos and the Vales and the IOCs.
Right. So the framework is there, and you're coming into a jurisdiction that's got a lot of experience working with these companies. Let's talk about the two main projects that you guys are currently working on, and let's start with the Kraken. What do you want to say about that particular project?
So the Kraken, I mean, this is our flagship when we were listing. It is the more advanced project of the two in the company. It's targeting magmatic nickel-copper-cobalt. So the similar type of mineralization is what's present in Voisey's Bay. Now, an interesting tidbit of information. So this was the one location in Labrador that was being explored for nickel and copper prior to the discovery of Voisey's Bay. So Noranda and Kennecott had a joint venture on this project during that period. They drilled about 5 holes over 45 kilometers of strike length, hit mineralization in every hole. What they didn't hit was the ovoid, which was the main discovery hole at Voisey's. And as a result of that, Kennecott and Noranda never went back for a second drill program. And the next year, Voisey's Bay was discovered. And then Kennecott and Noranda sat on the project for the entire rush of regional exploration that went on during that episode. So, you had, from a very technical standpoint, one of the best projects for nickel, copper, cobalt during the most heavy exploration period of Labrador's history. It didn't see any exploration work, in spite of hitting mineralization over 45 kilometers of strike length along the margin of this intrusion.
Right. So the time may be right. And so, in addition to Kraken, you have the Sedna Project. Sedna Project, I should say. How does that complement or add to what you guys are doing in your portfolio?
So for both projects, the idea here with Viridian was to find something that's very early stage that at a level of exploration that a lot of times the majors and mid tiers don't have a lot of experience dealing with things that are that green. So Kraken was a good one. I mean, already a few of the historical majors had been taking a look at it. Sedna really took that strategy up to 10 in that, we had a giant basin where we know there's copper there. And copper's mobile in the system. However, this basin is, over 2,000 square kilometers. And, using modern understanding of these types of deposits, we know that the part of the basin that had historically been explored is not where you'd expect to find large copper deposits.
Mm.
And so we said, well, we're going to have to take this to absolutely first principles, because when we staked up our original land position, we didn't even have up to date geology on the entire basin. So we're really going back and, right now doing a lot of desktop work to start defining, well, what we know about sedimentary copper deposits. And these are the big deposits. These are like the Central African Copper Belt, the Cooperschiefer in Germany. So, I mean, you're talking about giant deposits. If you want to look for those giant deposits in these basins, you have to go broad, and you have to look in the parts of the basins where you'd expect to find them. And so what really happened with that BHP Explorer announcement that we put out is that, we said we want to look at this entire basin. We want to look at the parts of the basin where we'd expect to find big copper deposits, and really try and start honing in on those. Now, ultimately, the level of knowledge for doing that just wasn't there prior to this. So, BHP is being an excellent partner in supporting us and saying, let's go back to first principles, develop the knowledge base that we need to go and start actually doing targeting in this basin.
Oh, that's cool. You're kind of going back to school in real time to learn about the geography and the geology, and then I guess make some more educated decisions when you decide to start drilling. Is that the idea?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, oftentimes for parts of Labrador, the geological mapping, I mean, it's 1 to 5 million scale. This is probably one of the most detailed mapped areas of Labrador, but they only released that mapping in late 2023. This is the first time people have had detailed maps to go and start looking at it. And even so, I mean, it's such a large area to map, and the government mapper who did it, I mean, he was working by himself trying to do, 20,000 square kilometers of ground. There's only so much that they can do. But, what we know about this basin is like, well, we need, let's use some private sector dollars and go in there and do the work to start defining these key areas.
Just to shift gears a little bit, one aspect that you guys are talking about on your materials as well is this commitment to environmental and social standards in your exploration activities. You may or may not know, for those watching, we've been producing a content series called the Summit on Responsible Investment. We'll be hosting an in-person version of this in Kelowna in June of this year. This is something that certainly resonates with us at the exchange. I think it resonates with the shareholders and certainly potential investors of companies like this. So maybe just touch on this, Tyrell. Tell me what those two aspects mean to you when it comes to creating a project, pursuing a vision, environmental sustainability, and social standards.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, the mining industry has an issue then in demonstrating that, we're not our grandparents' mining industry. In this day and age, mining is the way to help support the green revolution. And so if you're not there on the ground and being responsible stewards of the environment, I mean, your entire business case is gone. If we're going to be part of the green revolution to help move this world forward, decrease carbon footprints, and just, make everything a little bit more efficient, you can't be going and destroying the ground and the land and the communities while you're doing that. So, it's all part of the same sort of thing where it's, you want to have sustainable living. It has to be sustainable from the very top end. And,
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And continue with that thought. I was just going to add that really any company we talk to, especially recently, that now understand ESG itself is implicit. It's part of a successful mining or exploration program. You can't have one or the other. It's together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Mining is a net benefit to the world if we do it responsibly. There's a lot of places where it can't be done responsibly. We have so much mineral wealth in Canada. We by exploiting it ourselves, we're taking it from jurisdictions where we know that there's substandard environmental or social regulations, and doing it in a place where we know we can do it responsibly, and we could really be a leader in that globally.
Awesome. My next to last question. This is one we always ask, but just tell us a bit about yourself. What's your experience? How's it lend itself to this program, and this project, and this company, and maybe touch a bit on the team members that are supporting you in this vision.
So my background is I'm a geologist, and I've been doing project generation in Greenfield's projects for about 15 years now. Most recently, prior to Viridian Metals, I was regional exploration manager for a company called Oteco Minerals. They were one of a number of Australian companies that I was introducing to projects in Canada. They picked up a project that I introduced them to in Northern Ontario, and I helped build their team from the ground up there when we were first getting off the ground. Now that one ended up being a smashing success. We discovered over 2 million ounces of gold within 2 years. And then, they decided to take the next step and, pursue an asset in, of all places, Newfoundland. Surprise, surprise. And they've now become Firefly Metals. So, it's good to be working in the same jurisdiction as companies that I'm familiar with.
Yep. No, I know the name. Okay. And just on the home stretch here, but just tell me a little bit about what you foresee you've touched on already, but some of the plans and milestones you're trying to reach this year. What are you striving for?
Yeah, so I mean, the first part of the year is really going to be keeping up with our commitments for the BHP Explore cohort. So we have a number of presentations and stuff we'll be giving through that process, including, I mean, they've been fantastic supporters of both what we're doing in the Seal Basin, including providing expertise that they have for proprietary methods and whatnot. But ultimately, we'd like to continue to partner with them in the future. And how that looks in Q3, Q4 this year, we'll see what comes. And then our Kraken project, we're going to be, just because of all the activity that we're going to be putting into our Sedna copper project, the Kraken project will be more towards incremental improvements. We do have a very large mineralized area exposed at surface there, and we'll just be weighing whether it's worthwhile to continue incrementally increasing the area that we have drilled there, or whether there's over 150 conductors on that project. 4 of them have been drilled, and it's a case of, well, do we go back and start picking at some of these other conductors for starting to look for that higher grade Voisey's Bay type mineralization.
Awesome. All right. Well, looking forward to keeping in touch with you and watching the story. Where should people access, or where should they go to keep tabs on the Viridian?
Yeah, so we will produce stuff and release it on our website, but our most active social right now is LinkedIn. We put out some stuff, I think, kind of every second week or so.
Yeah, and your website's fantastic, viridianmetals.com. So, and then last but not least, certainly you can go to the CSE.com. It's stock symbol VRDN. You can search that up on the site, all the disclosures there. And with that, Tyrell, I'm going to wish you luck. Hope to talk to you later in the year and see how the progress is going with both these projects. And thanks again for joining us on the program. That's Viridian Metals, Tyrell Sutherland, the CEO.
Thanks, guys.